Welcome to our YouTube channel. In today's video, we'll be looking at the SUM and the SUMX function of DAX analysis. We'll be looking at when to use the SUM function of DAX analysis and when to use the SUMX function. These two functions are similar, but they can be used in different scenarios depending on the context or depending on what you want to do in DAX analysis. So in this particular video, I'll be showing the differences between the SUM function and the SUMX function and when to use each of these functions. If you've not subscribed to this video, you can simply click a subscription link at the bottom of the video in order for you to get weekly updates anytime we post a video on our YouTube channel. Now, for instance, let me talk about the SUM function of Excel first and foremost. Let's look at the SUM function of Excel. Now, this is my data. For instance, I'm interested to know the sum of sales. The moment I click on that, I click on new measure. The moment I click on new measure, I want to look at the sum of sales. That's the SUM function for sales. So let me call that sum sales, or let me call it sum of sales. Okay, I'm interested to know the sum of the sales amount. Type. The moment I click on the function, Power BI is going to bring up a list of functions for you to choose out of the list. I'm interested to know the sum function. I click on that. The moment I click on that, Power BI will give a brief description of the function. This tells you what the function is going to do, and it helps you to know about the particular function you're about to use, if you're using the proper function or not. Now, in this particular case, the SUM function of Excel asks on the SUM function of DAX analysis has only one argument, and the argument here is the column name. Power BI is only interested in the column name. If you provide any other thing for Power BI is going to give you an error message. So the only argument for this particular function is just one argument, and that argument or input is the column name. I'm interested to know the sum of the sales amount, and the sales amount that is for this particular business is located in the sales table. So if I want to calculate the total sums of the sales amounts, first and foremost, what I'm going to do, I'm going to type the table in which the column is located. The column is located in this sales table. So I'll type sales first. Well, when I type sales, Power BI is going to be on the list of columns that is located in the sales table. Now you can see the sales amount is located in the sales table. So I click on that. When I click on that, I type a bracket close. Now, when I type a bracket, the Power BI is going to align the last bracket and this to tell you that what you're doing is in order. I hit on the enter button on my keyboard. Now, when I hit on the enter button on my keyboard, Power BI is going to perform this analysis. This is sales, that's SUM sales. Now you can see it here. Now let me click on the card. When I click on the card, I want to display this. I drag and drop there. Now you can see Power BI giving me this. Now, what do I mean? The sum of sales. Now, the difference between the sum of sales and the difference between the sum function and the difference between the sum function and the SUMX function is that the sum function gives you the aggregate. It gives you a scalar value. It gives you a single value. So when you're interested in seeing the total sum of a particular number or a total sum of a particular variable, you make use of the sum function. It gives you just a single value. In other words, you are interested in carrying out an aggregate calculation, or you are interested in carrying out an aggregate analysis on your data set, you make use of the word the sum function. Now, this basic sum function in Power BI. This basic sum function in Power BI. We can also get all these basic sum function in Power BI. Because in other words, we can create a report in Power BI without knowing this analysis. We can create a report in Power BI without knowing this analysis, because in Power BI we have some implicit calculations in Power BI that can help you to perform some basic analysis, for which you don't need to start learning this analysis. But you need to learn this analysis when you want to be open to a variety of options, or when you want to do some complex and deeper analysis with your data set. That is the main reason why you need to learn. You need to know the DAX analysis. For instance, now let me click on the table. I click on the table here, and let me bring it here. But when I bring it there, I want to put on some list there. Now I have this this is a sales table. Now this is a sales table. Let me assume I have the product key. Let me click and drag drop there. That's the product key, and I have the sales amount here. Let me drop that here. Now you can see the product key, you can see the sales amount. You can see that now. Now you can see what I have here. The total sum I have here, this is what the same thing I have here. So you can see that this Power BI has an implicit value. For instance, I right click on that, you can see some of aggregate functions that are implicit in Power BI. For instance, if I don't want the sum, I just need the average amount. I click on average, it's going to give me the average sales amount. If I should click on this again, I said I don't want the average sales amount, I need the minimum sales amount. I click on that, it's going to give me the minimum sales amount is 1.37. Oh, so those are the implicit value in Power BI. So you don't need DAX analysis before you can carry out some. You can do your report in Power BI, but it's very, very important you learn this analysis, explore some option or carry out deeper analysis in your days in your Power BI. So you need to learn this analysis. So let me return that to sum function. You can see now using this particular sum function in Power BI, I got the same thing. Now, for instance, now if I should include in this particular table, let me go to the data amount. Let me click on this and drop it there. But when I do that, let me. Okay. Now, let me assume I'm interested. I'm interested only in the quarterly sales. Now, you can see the quarterly sales here. You can see the quarterly sales. Now, I make use of this. It gives me a single value. But if I should also drag and drop this into the Power BI, where is the sales? This is the sum of sales amount. I click and drag and drop here. Let me click on this. Now you can see I click and drag and drop. You can see it gives me similar value. Now this gives me similar value, although some function gives you just a single value, but because I've clicked on the table, it will show you how the calculation is being performed, how Power BI performed the calculation to arrive at this particular value. You can see using the sum function, I end up getting the same value with the implicit value in Power BI. The sum function in Power BI, you can see this sales amount is a sum function here in Power BI. Why this sales amount is the one I make use of this analysis to perform. You can see I had to write this query, this code. I have to use the sum function to arrive at this. Why this was implicit in Power BI. Now, having said that, now let's look at the SUMX function in Power BI. Now, the SUMX function, for instance, I want to use the SUMX function. Now, if I want to use the SUMX function, I go to, let me click on new measure. Let's call this SUMX sales. Now, I type the SUMX. Now, when I click on the SUMX, Power BI gives you the brief description about the particular function. Always remember to read this brief description. This particular function has two arguments. The first argument is a table name, and the next is the word expression. Now, the table name, Power BI is telling you want to sum the value of it in a particular. The Power BI is what table. You must specify the table name in Power BI. Now, we look at the other function. What we do was just the sum. We provide the table name attached to the function. Now, in this particular, Power BI is going to, what table do you want to sum? I'm interested in the sales table because the sales amount here is located in the sales table. So I'm interested in the sales table. The moment you put on sales, The next is a comma. You can see the argument, put a comma and press that. Then the next is expression. Now, expression could either be a function or expression could either be a mathematical expression. Like I want to multiply two tables together to arrive at a particular value. In this particular case, I need the sum. I want to sum this sales amount. Now, the very moment I use sum sales amount, I'm going to arrive at the wrong answer. Power BI is not going to give the right answer. Now, this sum of sales amount, I will end up having the wrong value. Now, let me put another bracket close and enter. Now, the moment I put the bracket close and enter, you can see that there, but I will end up having a wrong value. I will end up having a wrong value. Now you can see the value I'm having here. You can see the value are different. Why am I having the wrong value? Now the problem is this. Now I want to use the SUMX function. Remember, this function sum the sales amount in the column table. This sum function has already summed the value of each in the column table. So I already sum it up. Then I'm not using again sum here again. I'm not telling Power BI to sum again each of the value again. So the sum is being done twice. So that is for the reason I'm getting this. So how will I use this in Power BI if I want to use the SUMX function? Now, if I want to use that in Power BI, I'm going to use the SUMX. Remember, we've calculated the sum of sales. So click on that. That was this particular measure we created. We created this particular measure sum of sales. That is what I'm going to use and press enter. When I press enter, Power BI is going to perform this analysis. Now you can see I'm having the same thing. So you can see the differences here. You see the first one there, we have sum, then you put the column name, the table and column name together. Then when you now look at the other one we created, you can see the table name separate and make use of what? A measure. Now, that does not mean that I cannot use some function in this particular case. So these are the various ways you can use some function. Also, I can decide, okay, in this particular case, I want to sum the sales table. For instance, I'm interested to know the sales unit. Okay, let's say I have this is the unit price, okay, times the sales let's look at what to pick here. Let's say sales unit price and so to play that first. Okay, now you can see this. I have this. Press enter. Now you can see the value of this going to change. Now you can see the value. Okay, so these are the various scenarios I can make use of the sum x function, but let me leave it to original. So these are the various scenarios which you can use the sum x function in Power BI. There's various scenarios you can make use of the sum function in Power BI. So these are the various scenarios you can make use of sum x function in Power BI. That's the main difference between the sum function and the sum x function. The sum function normally is used when you want to calculate an aggregate value. You want to carry out an analysis on aggregate value, while the sum x function is when you want to do a row by row operation in this analysis. For instance, you can see that the value in quarter 3, we have the sales value in sales amount in quarter 3, We have sales amount in quarter 4 for 2017 and the sales value for 2018, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. We want to add it row by row. That's when we make use of the SUMX function of Power BI. While the sum function is when we want to add everything together. We are not interested in row by row calculation. We're only interested just in the aggregate value, the final value. That's when we can make use of the sum function in Power BI. Yeah. That's when we can make use of the sum function in Power BI. In this part, at the bottom of this video, I put in my contact. That's my WhatsApp number in case you are looking for a place to learn, or you will need a training on this, or you need a training on data analysis, or you are looking for where to do a training on data analysis. You can get in touch with me through my WhatsApp number that will be pasted in the description below of this particular video. So you can get in touch with me, just chat me up anytime, any day, and let us chat and let's talk about how you can learn this data analysis or this analysis. Thank you for watching.